back, brothers and sisters of Christ. My name is Brianna and I'm back with another video. And for today's video is, have you not brought this on yourselves? So we're going to read Jeremiah chapter 2 verse 17 through 19. And it says, have you not brought this on yourselves by forsaking the Lord your God when he led you in the way? You know, this really stood out to me because as we know, the Israelites stayed forsaking the Lord. Then they'll turn around and complain about the consequences. All they did was sin and complain and turn their backs on God and worship false idols and false gods and cry out to the Lord for help. He'll save them and they'll do it all over again. Just like us. We are doing the very things that they did in the biblical days. It's literally a cycle. There's nothing new under the sun. And see, we want to be rebellious so bad, but don't even realize that there's consequences that comes with forsaking the Lord. And those consequences are the very consequences to our own actions. We want to be rebels, but we don't want what comes with being a rebel. You know what I'm saying? We don't realize that the Lord's commandments are not to punish us, but to protect us from unnecessary suffering. The Lord had done all these things for the Israelites. You know what I'm saying? He chose them. He freed them from slavery. He guided them. He protected them. He provided for them. He performed many miracles for them. He won battles for them. And yet they still turned their backs on God. And because of all that, they lost God's full protection and guidance. They abandoned the Lord who did all these things for them, and they worshiped false gods who never did or could do anything for them. But they couldn't seem to figure out why bad things were happening, right? They were failing to realize that these things were happening due to the consequences of their own actions, due to them turning on God, due to them forsaking God. See, when you are faithful to the Lord and follow his commandments, you are divinely protected. Yes, you go through things, but you save yourself from so much by following the Lord. Nothing annoys me more than hearing people complain and blame God for situations that they put themselves in to suffer. Blaming God for the consequences to your own actions is crazy. Okay? You did this to yourself. You know what I'm saying? And that's why you hear so many people that's mad at God and blaming God about things because they don't want to take accountability of the things that they brought on themselves. Because the issue is most humans have a problem with taking accountability for their own actions or accountability, period. You'll notice that very few people actually take accountability because they want someone to blame. And that someone is always going to be God because he has all power. And although he has all power, you, my friend, have free will. And that's where a lot of people kind of disconnect. Okay, they like to put everything on God. Well, why is this happening? Why did this happen? Wait a minute, let's not forget the fact that you have free will and you can do whatever you do. God didn't make you do that. You made that decision on your own. You are aware from right and wrong, and you chose wrong, baby. That's on you. That ain't on God. You know the possible outcomes before you do what you did, but you still turn around and blame God like you didn't do this to yourself. There's a reason that we shouldn't have sex before marriage. Then people complain about having children out of wedlock. Having children with someone that is not willing to take care of the child. People complain if they mess around and catch an STD. Now you're messing around, you got the soul ties. There's things that come with having sex outside of marriage. And we know that. So the thing about it is, if you still decide to do it, and then you end up going through these things or experiencing some of these things, that is your fault. That's not God's fault because he told you what to do to avoid these things. He told us no sex before marriage. If you decide to do that, you already know that it's wrong and you know the possible outcomes. And we have people turning around blaming God, mad at God. Have you not brought this on yourself? You steal, you kill, and you go to jail. Now you got a record. Okay, now you're having a hard time finding a job. Now you're having a hard time getting approved for a place to stay. But that was because of your own actions, not because God. You became an alcoholic. Now nobody want to be around you and your life is just completely falling apart. That's on you, not God. Because everything in his word that he told us not to do is for a reason. You know, and I don't understand. When will we learn this? When will we actually learn this? You know, then people be talking about, God, why is this happening? No, why did you bring this on yourself? Okay, and I'm not safe either, because I used to think like this before I knew the Lord. There was a time before I knew the Lord. There was this one time, you know, years ago when I used to drink a lot. And the Lord was obviously trying to get my attention, and I was drinking, and everything just was falling apart. You know, I told y'all I was getting into it with my family. I got into a car accident. I went to jail, different stuff like that. And it all revolved around drinking. Well, it was this one time that I got into a car accident right in front of a church. And I remember walking up the church parking lot. And I'm like, Lord, why does all this bad stuff keep happening to me? Why is this stuff happening to me? Girl, you're sitting around drinking. You know what I'm saying? Like, the Lord was trying to get my attention. And meanwhile, we always asking, Lord, why this and why that? Baby, why are you doing it? Why have you brought this on yourself? Have you not brought this on yourself? Jeremiah said. I'm asking the Lord why this bad stuff keep happening to me. And I know exactly why. It's the consequences to my own actions. You know, it's like touching a hot stove and then you asking, why did you get burnt? You know what I'm saying? Like, seriously, that's exactly how we do. And, you know, I know the Lord be looking at us like, he probably be shaking his head because we blame our sweet Father for everything. And he's so good to us. And he told us what not to do and why not to do it in his word. And we still act like we don't know. We still put the blame on him. So a lot of things we go through is because we have forsaken the Lord. Because when you think about it, it all boils down to not following his word. And not following his word is forsaking the Lord. So that's what it boils down to. Us not living according to his word, which is forsaking him. And, you know, obviously, you know, not everything we go through, because life is still life at the end of the day. We're going to go through things. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of things are because we have forsaken the Lord. And when you forsake the Lord and do the very things that he warned us about and said in his word not to do, then be shocked when you are facing the consequences for it, because you brought this on yourself by forsaking the Lord your God. So long story short, follow the Lord in his ways. Let him guide you and let him lead you. Because when you step out of God's will, baby, and start trying to do things your own way, you are going to face the consequences of your actions. And you can't be mad about it, because this is what you decided to do based on your free will. So we got Proverbs chapter 19, verse 3, and it says, my alarm went off. Oh my goodness, it's getting late. So we got Proverbs chapter 19, verses 3, and it says, a person's own folly leads to their ruin, yet their heart rages against the Lord. A person's own folly leads to their ruin. Like I said, then they turn around and raging mad at the Lord due to their own nonsense, child. I never understand it. We have Lamentations chapter 3, verses 39. And it says, why should the living complain when punished for their sins? You know, I wonder that, especially those who know better, child. Why are you complaining about things that you put yourself in? Sins that you know you shouldn't be committing. Sins that you know what happens when you commit them. We have Ezekiel chapter 18, verse 25, and it says, just take it on the chin, you know. You got to take that stuff on the chin because you knew what it was. So Ezekiel chapter 18, verse 25 says, yet you say the way of the Lord is not just. Hear you Israelites, is my way unjust? Is it not your ways that are unjust? I read that in another video, but it's just so true. You know what I'm saying? The Lord is literally trying to protect us and save us, and we turn around and we act like it's his ways that are unjust and that he's the one that's doing these things. Sweetie, it's your ways. It's the things that you decided to do, you know, with the free will that you have. We got James chapter 1, verse 13 through 14. And it says, when tempted, no one should say, God is tempting me. For God cannot be tempted by evil, nor does he tempt anyone. But each person is tempted when they are dragged away by their own evil desire and enticed. So when you think about a lot of the things that you are going through or have went through, we have to sit around and think, have I not brought this on myself? Because I can think of many things that I have brought on myself, okay, by forsaking the Lord, by doing things my own way. You know what I'm saying? So we have to stop blaming God and getting mad at God for things that we have brought on ourselves, for facing the consequences of our own actions. And we have to take accountability, okay? But if this word is not for you, it's for somebody else. Remember, I'm telling y'all this because I love y'all. God bless.